Okay, so I want to talk briefly about the transfer of privileges from father to husband. Now, I do understand that for many people in society, you like don't people don't have fathers, some people don't have husbands. Um I completely understand this. There are some people who have single parents and they have way more wealth and access than people with dual parents. So it isn't simply about just any old plain person having a father and then having a husband. Okay, we do have many examples of these outliers, like just terrible, terrible fathers who are awful people and awful fathers, and then terrible, terrible husbands who are awful husbands and awful men. Those people and outliers exist, and I would say we've like normalized that, especially in online spaces. But let's talk about community norms in regular middle class America or even Europe, okay? Now, I feel like there are certain TV shows, specifically there's a TV show called Skins. There's a US version, but there's a UK version as well. Degrassi, that show that Drake was on, is like maybe another good one. I feel like Euphoria was trying to get there, but it just did an awful job of it because it was just so like hypersexualized and it had no community values. One, I might say, I think Gossip Girl actually is probably another show that, because it's like over a whole bunch of seasons and it does a lot to just show a lot of things about parental guidance, about community, outside of school. So there's like your community in the school, and then there's like your community in your neighborhood, and then there's like your community maybe within your spouse or your boyfriend or something. It unpacks all of those concepts, which are like individual concepts. Now, the point that I'm trying to make in this particular video is like middle class fathers, so people, middle class families, people who are earning between, I would say, if it's two parents, it should be, you could be considered middle class. I think with like $75,000, between 75 and I would say like $400,000 a year. If that is like your income bracket, I would call you like a middle class family. Anywhere in between that. So if you're making 75, you're like lower middle class. If you're making more like 400,000, you're like upper middle class. But that's kind of the middle class bracket that I'm talking about. Now, families who fall in this particular range are usually people who found a way to live in society as citizens, meaning they're typically not like lawbreakers. They have some sort of education or have fine grained or how do you say, like harnered a skill. You could be an electrician and fall in this category. You could be a waitress and fall in this category. You could be a wide range of things. A teacher fall into this category. But you could also be like a radiologist, a plastic surgeon, a lawyer. All of those type of people fall into this range, right? Now, in a family where there's like a mother, a father, some children, a home, fathers are taking on the responsibility. Fathers are taking on at least half, but most of the time, like 100% of the financial responsibility for that household. They're paying for shit and things cost money. It's not just like the rent, the food, it's the after school activities, it is the ballet lessons, it is the dinners that happen multiple times per week where they're dropping $200 to $500 every single weekend. Sunday brunches, okay? Those pretty dresses that everybody's wearing on Sundays, yeah, dads are paying for that. The shopping trips, trips to Tahoe to go skiing, okay? The summertime trips to the Hamptons, all of this shit costs money. Money, okay? And dads are paying the money. This is why people make all those jokes about like who's in the front row of the Taylor Swift concert. It's the kids whose dads are buying the tickets. Like that's who's going. And there's a lot of families like this. This is most of America. Now, just remember when people are talking about Black America, there's basically like no Black families who fall in this like range. There's just basically none. There's like one or two. The percentages are just very low. right? The black people in America, I think also the weird, really strange part about this is like, I keep seeing a lot. This just happened today. So Matt Walsh made a video that was like the hierarchy of oppression or something, where he makes his pyramid. And he was also, it was hella funny because he tried to like include a snippet about the people of color, and he was trying to get all the like labels right. And he was like, well, the mixed cultures, and then the brown people, and the Latinx. And he was like, I can't designate them all, so I'm calling these all black for the purpose of the video. And the reason that I am inputting this here, that little snippet here, is because I think statistically people don't understand how the numbers break out. Whatever, if we pretty much know, like the percentage of people who consider themselves black in America is like 13%. The percentage of people in America who consider themselves, I think, Hispanic or Latinx at this point is like 23%. The percentage of people who consider themselves Asian in America right now is like 3 or 4%. It's really small. The people who consider themselves biracial, multiracial, is an even smaller group. I think it's only like 1 or 2%. Um, so like, I'm not trying to. Statistically, those groups are kind of like irrelevant here. The groups aren't large enough to really have a say. So and the biggest group in the country is still white. Like, it's like over 60%. And I do kind of feel like there's something that's happened with like COVID, immigration, and like kind of like this awareness around replacement rates, where I think the white birth rate is actually going up now. Um, so we're probably in the next 5 years going to see like an increase in the white population, so which will probably push it more toward like 70%. Um, I do feel like whoever comes in as the president in the next election is going to have to do something about immigration, which is going to push that level of people in America who consider themselves Hispanic probably back down to like 13 or 14%. Because like everyone who's here right now isn't going to stay. Deportation is a real thing that is going to happen. And I think a lot of people are also confused about like the black immigrants who are coming over are probably going to get deported too, but that won't change the statistics of the percentage of people who are black in America. Black Americans are like here and they're going to be here and like they're not leaving. uh, Economically, they probably like won't do well here, but like they're going to be here. That's the point. And the immigrants who come over typically go back. Like the number who stay is pretty small. It seems like, because a lot of people tell the same story over and over, that it's like this large number. It isn't, though. It isn't. Anyway, so my point is, these fathers in these middle class families are paying for things for their children, for their daughters. They're buying them all type of shit: meals, shopping, extracurricular activities, giving them credit cards, buying them cars, paying for college, the whole college experience where those kids are not working. If they are working, it's like a part-time job just to teach them a work ethic. Okay. And even the first few years of their real jobs, typically it's like this like cushioned period where they're still getting help from their family members. So there isn't really a point where they're like on their own, especially female children in America. So when these women are thinking about like who to partner with, what a partner means, what is the point of male presence in their life, it's to provide. They have to provide something. Money. They have to provide money. And like it is very clear, like a man would have to sign up to participate in the providership. Otherwise, he kind of served no purpose. So I'm actually making this video. It's not technically a response video, but I was watching Madison Brown's Patreon video, which is about like the like beauty maintenance is making you broke, is what. Now here's what I see. There's a lot still of white female children in America who did not grow up in the middle class. They grew up below that. And everybody seems to have found college to be this like buffer period where they could gain more skills in order to learn how to, I guess, survive, relate in regular society. But they still grew up poor, so they don't have like fathers who could potentially provide for them. So as these women are going out and looking for providers, all of the males who have like the money and stuff, they see so many women. And it's very hard to understand like who came from what socioeconomic class, what does this mean? How do I like it's very hard, like how do you understand who, you know what I mean, like where these women came from. So the women whose husbands are spending the money on them getting, like, the men have to have something to spend all the money on. It just doesn't cost $200,000 to like live and buy food in this country. Like even if you went to dinner every single night, every fucking night, and you lived in a pretty like decent apartment, even if you had two bedrooms for one couple, like you, this is why you have the conversation about sinks and sink wads and dinks and dink wads and stuff. You like, there's just so much extra money. Like you need a puppy or something to take care of because you have a lot of money. Um, so with men making all of this money and then women just making some money, because if you're, let's say your spouse, your partner is making $100,000 a year and you only even make $20,000 a year, your net income for the whole household is now $120,000 a year. The woman doesn't technically need to work, but probably she will just have like some, to be a member in society, to be a member of the community. There are other things that work brings that are valuable to life in the modern world, that isn't just money. But especially if your husband is not making very much money, it makes sense for you to work so that you can have enough money to live. It's like the Roseanne story. But there is a particular story that's this, like, I don't know, it's like the Jasmine Tukes experience. I mean, it's just every day she's doing all of these like beauty treatments that are extremely expensive. They're it's super expensive to be Jasmine Tukes. It's so much upkeep, and her husband's paying for it, herself, her businesses are paying for it. Like they have the money to buy these things, and brands are like giving her things and letting her go on these experiences so that other people can buy them. This is another reason I gotta say, like, representation is very important. Like, if you don't have like a black woman who's like showing, oh, this is how it is, this is how it looks for a black woman to have this experience, black women won't buy it. Black women won't do it. They'll just find something else to spend their money on, which is why there's like this whole economy of like hair weaves and nails and Botox and whatever the treatment is. But I think Madison makes this great point. Just a really, really basic hygiene will take you so far. Just like brushing your teeth, flossing, just cleaning your nails, okay, washing your face, shaving, you know what I mean? Like really the basic shit. Having soap, toothpaste, or toothbrush, some lotion, but that's it. Just having that is like all you really need to maintain a really basic level of beauty. And it does feel like people have lost it because they don't understand that that's a thing. There are husbands in the middle class who have been paying for these lifestyles for the women. They will keep doing it. Okay, this is like what the story. This is the story of what is that movie with Olivia Wilde and Harry Styles? Uh, um, I'm sorry, I'm gonna look this up because I do think a movie with Harry Styles. Don't Worry, Darling. So it's based in the 1950s. Alice and Jack live in the idealized community of Victory, an experimental company town that houses the men who work on a top secret project. While the husbands toil away, the wives get to enjoy the beauty, luxury, and debauchery of their seemingly perfect paradise. However, when cracks in her idyllic life begin to appear, Exposing flashes of something sinister lurking below the surface, Alice can't help but question exactly what she's doing in Victory. But if you before the crack, okay, but this is like the story that remember that TV show, The Desperate Housewives. That show is actually really good. That tells another story about this like the drama of middle class American mothers. It's a real thing. And I guess having grown up around that, you just normalize all the bullshit, right? But like, I guess some people are so far away from that that even the really basic shit, they don't. It's not like it hasn't been contextualized, which is another reason I will keep saying it over and over. I think that the Taylor Swift experience, she is the every woman, right? Because she's sharing all of these things about that experience that we kind of all relate to. Um, and that some people, that most of us, like 70% of us, relate to this experience, even if it's not racialized, because there are people of color in the middle class. Um, but then there's like a lot of people in the lower class, maybe like classless people, and they don't have any. I don't know how to describe their experiences. It's very difficult to start to understand them because even the rap music doesn't make sense. It's not like aligning a cultural narrative. It's just trying to racialize an entire group, which is socioeconomically diverse. We're talking about black people. Because a black person who's the working poor is not the same as a black person without a job who lives in a project that is free. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of difficult, but the point is like these luxury beauty experiences cost money, and typically in a woman's life, they're subsidized first by their father and then by their husband or their boyfriend, and that goes on forever. A lot of women who have access to education understand the value and community membership tokens that come from work. So even though, oh shit, I think the volume went out.